Everybody, it's Jeremy. Welcome back to Lucid's 2022 Tournament Game 4, where we are playing Nazca. This is turn 86, and the war with Pelagia rages. So let's jump into it, shall we? I say jump into it, but first let's start off with some other stuff. We've got research. So construction 7 completed. This was a little bit of a pit stop for us. It was to pick up weapons of sharpness primarily, although we do have other things that we can get out of it, namely golem construction, I believe. So there are other potential opportunities that we could take there. Just depends on what kind of rears its ugly head and what we need to try to accomplish. Weapons of sharpness, though, being one of those scenarios where it's like, yeah, that'll actually help us the majority of the time. So we'll see how that goes. Did a bunch of reviving kings, etc., etc. But let's jump into remotes. We got a couple of remote attacks against us and for us this turn. We had a mound king get mentally attacked by an enemy mage and be killed. So that is a mind hunt success for Pelagia. And then we had 2 earth attacks. Let's watch these real quick, see if we can do good. We sent an earth attack out and snagged a Triton commander. So this should probably be a victory, but I mean, it's just a Triton commander, so almost a victory for Pelagia that we use the gems on that Triton commander. And then another earth attack, this time against a Shark Knight. And now this is a little bit of a different kind of scenario because the Shark Knight actually is a size 6. So we can't trample it. And that might mean that it wins, but we'll see. That stabs us. Oh, my good. Yeah, it's definitely going to win now. Oof. Once elementals start to lose their forms, they become significantly less threatening. So once they start to dip in sizes, they rapidly become significantly less threatening. So as soon as our size 6 got popped, that was a problem. Okay, well, cool. Either way, interesting. Remotes for the turn, we had for Earth Attack 1 win and 1 loss, and then for Mind Hunt 0 wins and 1 loss. So pretty good. Pretty good. I say pretty good. That's actually a losing ratio for us. That's not pretty good. We hate it. Why you do that? They're low stakes, very low stakes on that scenario. We're doing very low gem investments with the earth gems, and we have yet to lose something really drastic to a mind hunt. Primarily, I think, because of the way that we've been running things, right? Anything that we care about tends to have a bunch of astral around. So Pelagia is influenced to not target that stuff with mind hunts, etc., etc. So, okay, we've got a bunch of battles to view. Let's do... We'll just go all the way down. We got magic phase battles into regular battles. We're not going to separate ours from theirs. We're just going to watch straight down. There's an attack from Arco into Van in Millgate. Ooh, we've got... Aha! I'm glad we get to see this. This has been kind of the talk of the town, I think, for the last couple turns. This is a Ark of the Covenant. I say it. Ark of the Covenant. It's the Ark, but obviously that's the insinuation is that it's the Ark of the Covenant. This is an Ark Golem with Armor of Virtue, so automatic returning, a little bit of protective gear to try to keep him on the field longer, and he has the Ark. So the Ark is a very expensive unique item, Construction 8, that at the start of battle automatically casts the Arc spell, which as far as I'm aware is the only way in the entire game that you can cast the Arc spell. There is no other way to cast it that I'm aware of. And the spell causes blindness, disease, and death to fall upon all that are not sacred in the eyes of the coming god, i.e. in the eyes of the god that you are playing, right? So it will affect your own non-sacred units. However, I don't think it affects mindless creatures, perhaps? I don't know. It doesn't matter. If this golem takes damage, he's immediately out of here, right? So, Holiness of the Ark is so great that it is a Dominion spreader, all right? And it will kill and blind all heretics and spread disease among them. Only priests and sacred troops of the proper religion are spared from the wrath of the Ark. So, as soon as this thing comes in, it's going to immediately pop Ark. And we can see it's going to... It has... I don't know. I don't know if we're going to see any, like, actual action. Because the Arc spell just kind of, like, works, I guess. Disease, blind, disease, blind. Let's see what we get as far as... Okay, so it's gone immediately. Any, like, huge death numbers or anything? Not really. Okay. So, only thing that got lost there is a single Einherr. So not a lot of that kill side of things. I wonder if there was, like, an anti-magic cast or something like that. It doesn't even say that there's any resistance to it. Okay. So, looks like we got one of the duds, potentially. But I have been hearing that this has actually been causing quite a bit of mayhem, specifically with Ulm, right? Again, it didn't say that there was a magic resistance check there or anything like that, but I assume something's going on. Who knows, right? But I think Ulm has had a stack or two hit with this thing, and it's done quite a bit of damage to them. Whether it doesn't kill that much outright, it has diseased massive swaths and blinded other portions, right? So... kind of an interesting little twist on a golem. You know, it's not a horror harmonica golem, which I think is pretty common. It's not a Phoenix Pyre golem. I think is another relatively common variant. It's pretty neat. So let us continue on, shall we? We were magic phased in Faraway Sea. Magic phases tend to always mean, from Pelagia, they tend to mean Triton Kings because they don't really have a lot of air, and you can't cloud trapeze underwater anyways, which means their teleporters tend to be their high astral, or higher mid-tier astral, I guess, Triton Kings. Oh, this guy is actually just astral 1. So anyways, he's coming in. He's gonna trounce this amount of undead. Yeah, he's got Armor of the Knights on. He's now moss-bodied himself. He does personal regeneration, body ethereal, ice shield. Yeah, this guy is gonna slap all of these undead with no issue at all. So cool. Very cool. We lose in Faraway Seas. We also get magic phased in Sea of Mermaids. Okay, similar type setup. Has a nice Thunder Whip here for shits and giggles. Moss Body, Ice Shield, Body Ethereal. Does get jumped by some Supayas. Supayas could potentially do the job depending on how many Supayas there were, but there aren't enough Supayas here, and they're not blessed anyways. So... not gonna do the trick here. And I'm pretty positive that these undead aren't either. So we lose there as well. Yeah. Okay, cool. Not really a big loss. 2 little stacks of long dead, right? Like, these are scenarios where we are sending those stacks of long dead out to do this, right? It means he has to commit teleporters to it. He has to commit gems to it. He has to use the time of those mages where they could otherwise be used in other locations, or else we take provinces and threaten fortifications. So we're perfectly happy with this. Obviously, we would prefer not to have it happen. But I want to start thinking of, being able to sneak in mages or teleport our own people into different locations and maybe intercept, right? So if we know that he's likely to teleport Triton Kings into small stacks of Mound Kings, we could try to teleport people into those locations first. That could try to kill these Triton Kings. But we'd have to be careful about what we're sending in, right? Because whatever we send in is gonna have to deal with a lot of stuff. It's gonna be hard to do magic resistance to these guys, like Soul Slayer, stuff like that, because they're pretty high up. We could do like teleporting magic duelers, because we'd have a decent chance. And almost anything that we would teleport into a Triton King, if we lost versus a Triton King, it wouldn't be as big a loss as the Triton King, right? So, anyways, moving on. We attacked in the Whirling Sea. Got a bunch of Long Dead. We've got some Supayas hanging out in the back. This is just a little bit of PD. This is going to be an easy win for us, right? We get to see Van attacking Arco in Own and in Lost Canyon range. So, this is actually on the coast. We've got, I think Own is a throne, or it's close to a throne. We got two Van Jarls spruced up. Just a little bit of PD, nothing happening here. But now that Vanarus is basically out of the picture, it's clear Van's gonna be able to turn his attention fully into Arco. So that is a bit of a problem. Now the race is on. We've got a illusionist here with a small squad of Einherr. Gonna do some summon air elementals. Cool. Easy peasy. And then we're back to our stuff. So 2 little victories for Van. We're attacking in Blue Water. Okay, we've got line of Long Dead. We've got a Hydromancer here. Gonna do some Living Water. Up against nothing, basically. Oh, no. Up against a Pelagian Mystic, actually, who is doing a Earth Elemental. Fun. Alright, we get the Mystic there. That's a pretty expensive Mystic kill, though. Right, 130. That cost us, like, 6 gems, it looked like. So, not super efficient of a trade, but we do win. We also take control of the Sea of Woe. We get attacked in Moonsea. Let's see what we're up against. Just a little Ichthyid Lord coming out. This is piggybacking off of the Mind Hunt, right? So always a good strategy. Mind Hunt and then send a Lord to take the province back. Or a scout or something like that, right? We've got our army here. This is just, again, minor amount of PD. Nothing gonna happen here. Easy peasy. That's in Hippocampus's fortune. We do lose 5 Long Dead. Oof. Is what it is. But there is a fortress here. We attack in the Harbor of Copper. Another big stack, Long Dead, Earth Elementals, Huacas, Supayas, bunch of Hydromancers here. And again, this is basically nothing. This is what we predicted in the last turn, right? That Pelagia was not going to attack us or really fight us in mass in any of these locations because of the victories that we had just happened. We have taken out a large portion of their power, so now they're going to want to consolidate. Right? So that's kind of what we're seeing here, is a little poke and prodding from them, but basically a consolidation of forces to try to better move against us. So we win in Harbor of Copper, we win in Devil's Pond, we attack in the dry field. Also, I mentioned blue water and blue waters was a pain in the ass. Another pain in the ass throughout this game is going to be dry fields, and the dry field. Because those are both provinces in the Pelagian area. So we've got this one. Again, just another set of province defense here. We've got 2 hydromancers out in front. Doing some liquefy, apparently. I don't think that's what they were actually supposed to be doing, but it is what it is. So that's in the dry field. Easy peasy victory there. We attack in Duspris along the peninsula. This is our big land army right now. Easy peasy. And again, not gonna sally out, not gonna fight us. Gonna retract into basically like gathering locations. And we attack in the tiers of the Pantocrator. Another little stack of long dead. Easy peasy. So, bunch of victories. We have one more battle to watch this turn, and that is Vanarus attacking us in the Dutrandine Expanse. What the fuck? Oh, it is a random raiding event. Vanarus is one of those raider nations that has like seafaring and things like that. And they actually spawned a raiding event here at the very end, I believe. Yeah, because this guy doesn't even have, this is the leader, and he doesn't even have like seafaring or anything like that. But he makes his way over. They make their way here. They're gonna fight against these Caracas, or human warriors. Sorry. And they kind of chop them up until they get shot up at the very end, and it is quite amusing that happens for reasons we'll discuss later on. So we win there against Vanarus. Alright, so battles for the turn versus Pelagia. We have 9 wins and 3 losses, and versus Vanarus we have 1 win and 0 losses. So pretty good turn for us, but it was a very passive turn, as we kind of expected from the events of last turn, right? So the events of last turn, the really big battle that we won against Pelagia has made Pelagia respond by consolidating forces into various locations throughout their remaining empire, and giving us an opportunity. We could have either immediately tried to hit them in those locations to try to force the fight, not giving them a chance to consolidate, which could have been the correct choice, or we have an opportunity to take fortifications, take infrastructure off of them, basically for free, which could have been the right choice. We chose the second one, and that's why we have a pretty passive turn here. But we can see, right, breached, critically damaged, etc. So we have a lot of locations that are now breached and available for us to take next turn, right? So depending on where Pelagia consolidated, we now have an opportunity probably to take a lot of free infrastructure next turn, again depending on where they consolidated. So not bad. Events for the turn. We have some unexpected events. Event occurred in Satrandith. A spirit of summer has awoken early, bringing summer and prosperity to the land. We get some heat in Satrandith, some growth in Satrandith, 200% tax, and some increased province income. So pretty cool across the board there. In Bara, we get a rebirth event. In Toledo, magical gems have been found in the split trunk of an oak, so we get some nature gems. Very cool. In Dutrandine Expanse, we have a Vanarusian Oathbound plundering party that we defeated. In Blackport, another handful of magic gems have been found in the Prime of the Season. We get more nature gems. And then in Pack Woods, a handful of gems has been found in a small stream. So we get some more water gems, actually. So events for the turn, mostly good across the board. We have 1 negative, the Vanarusian Oathbound squad, right? And then we have 4 positive. So in Satrandith, we have heat +2, growth +2, tax +200, which is decent, pretty nice, and income +3, which is minor, but who cares? We like that type of stuff. In Bara, the population increased by 290, and the income increased by 1. Dutrandine got attacked. We got +4 water gems, and we got +7 nature gems. So all in all, not a horrible turn on the luck side of things. Pretty happy with that, I would say. And then we get to come down, and other people have probably already seen it, but the reason why this Vanarusian attack is so funny, right, is that this is the last turn for Vanarus. The god of Vanarus, has been permanently vanquished. The deed is done, and with their dying breath, Vanarus attacks. Since not obviously it's just an event, right? But with their dying breath, the game is like, we're gonna send an event attack at Nazca, which is really funny because the entirety of the game, we were never in conflict with Vanarus, excepting that Vanarus at the very beginning of the game was one of the players that was like, Coalition Nazca, kill them, get them out of the game immediately, right? And obviously, I bear no ill will towards that player for that or anything like that, because most of the players in the game were like, yeah, we should kill Nazca early, shouldn't let a Nazca stay in the game. And in point of fact, I agree with that assessment, generally speaking. I just don't agree with how many bodies people think need to go into a dog pile, right? Like, it's one of those, like the morals of a game type situation. Anyways, I just thought it was very funny that, with, like, the dying breath, the game was like, you know what? Send one attack. and that was that. So, nation defeated. Vanarus vanquished. There are 5 players left. Us, obviously. Vanheim, Pelagia, Arcocephale, and right? So, we're making it. We're getting there. We might not win the game, but by God, did we survive. Sometimes that's fun in its own right, right? All right, let me write this down real quick, and we will move on. And take a look at what is actually happening this turn. So, for verification, right? Breach, not breaching, not breached, but very close, breached, and breached. So we have 4 fortifications breached this turn. We got a whole lot of movement, but as per normal, the majority of this movement is just moving around stacks of Long Dead and stacks of Haten Runa and things like that, okay? We do have a little bit of a funnel going back and forth for our Ancient Master site. We are trying to get that back up and running. We depleted most of the forces that were in it, right, to actually go and fight these fight on the land battles and things like that. But now that most of the land battles are done, and it's going to be difficult for us to really get a lot of our forces underwater, we're going to try to start getting the Ancient Master back up and running, really back up and running, to really maximize the experience on a lot of our land-bound units, Sun Guard and Huacas and things like that. So we're going to see how that all goes. And then we've got a number of kind of like focused initiatives that we have going on. So let's take a look at Pelagia real quick. We've got in the Pelagian proper area, we have some forces that are being consolidated. In the Oceania area, we have a growing force. And in the Blue Waters Ysian area, we have a growing force. So here's kind of my expectation, right? We have a bunch of forces down here in the Oceania Blackport Peninsula area, right? And then we have forces in between Pelagia and Yis. My expectation is we're sitting on a number of forts this turn, right? We're sitting on Hippocampus, we're sitting on Dispris, we're sitting on Whirling Sea, we're sitting on Harbor of Copper, we're sitting on Dryfield, right? Most of these, I think, are going to be free. Dispris, I think, is going to be absolutely free. Hippocampus's Fortune should be absolutely free. Whirling Sea might not be free, but I think we will be okay here. We'll see. And I think Harbor of Copper is going to be free as well, right? I do not think that Pelagia is going to try to send whatever is in Narian Sea and whatever can make it from Pelagia, if anything can make it from Pelagia, into Harbor of Copper to defend it, right? So I think we are perfectly fine there. I think we're going to get at least three fortresses, maybe 4 this turn. And most of what I am doing is operating off of that concept. So we're trying to push that envelope. We want to, again, while Pelagia is consolidating in these locations, we want to try to start hitting other spots and speed up this process of taking infrastructure away, right? So if we're gonna put a stack on Blue Beauty, we're gonna put a stack on Dry Fields, right? We're gonna try to get those sieging now. We are gonna put a stack on Nuptia, though I do not know if that will actually amount to anything because there is this big stack here in Oceania. So we're just sending, again, Long Dead to most of these locations. If they get popped, they get popped perfectly fine. Don't care about it. Right? Same thing to Green Sea, Emerald Lake, right? If he moves down from Oceania to protect Nuptia and try to, like, threaten the peninsula, and he moves up from Blue Waters into Yis to try to, like, threaten these provinces, right? That could create an opening here in the center in Green Sea and Emerald Lake where he doesn't have anything to really resist us. So, all of these places we're trying to make little thrusts into all of these locations to say, hey, if you're going to consolidate like this, right, we're going to take the infrastructure that you're far away. We have a massive front, and now you have like three sizable armies and a handful of teleporters, right? You can use those handful of teleporters to defeat a lot of our very weak forces across the front, but you can't use those teleporters to defeat our 3 or 4 big armies, right? Meaning you're going to have to move your 3 or 4 big armies towards those armies in order to keep them from taking infrastructure. And I'm just going to flood the field with everything else, right? Because we can take a fort in 2 or 3 turns very quickly with a stack of Long Dead. So you can see we're hitting all of these locations. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7... 8, right? We're hitting 8 different forts, and we're not expecting to really win or like siege down any of them, but it does provide us the opportunity to keep movement locked into them, have Pelagia have to respond to them, etc., etc. Aside from that, really nothing crazy is changing from our game plan. Right? We're not doing, there's no super duper weird trick or anything like that. We've got all the normal stuff going on with all of our scenarios. We have worked Weapons of Sharpness into our mix now that we have that active. So wherever we can, we're throwing in some Weapons of Sharpness as well. That's going to make our Supayas and Huacas quite a bit more threatening. The Supayas do have somewhat low damage in the right/wrong situation, I guess. So it is one of those scenarios where I think anything that we can give them, right? Like 13 damage is not especially high. 17 damage, quite a bit better. So anything that we can kind of give them to improve, I think is going to be a really big deal. Weapons of Sharpness, very, very, very nice. So, all right. I think that's honestly about it. This is a relatively passive turn comparatively. It was a lot of logistics going through everything, but for the most part, it's pretty tame. Um, yeah. All right. Anyways, let's jump into some other stuff. We'll talk about now recruitment and all that stuff, and go from there. So, going back to the capital, as we normally do for recruitment, we have recruitment for the turn: 2 Aklas, 1 Lizard Shaman, 1 Karaka, 2 Malqui Priests, 1 Hydromancer, 2 Dinyashi, and 6 Sun Guard. So we've got that going on, and whoop, there's a mama. Mama brought snacks. Ooh, McAllister snacks. Ooh, warm soup. I gotta finish this episode. So we got a fair amount of recruitment going on. This feels good. We actually have some income in this day and age. It's not crazy. Don't get me wrong. And probably we're using it incorrectly. We probably want to start getting to the point to where it's a Royal Malqui every turn from here on. It's Royal Malqui and Sun Guard, right? And then other stuff that we can fit in, sure, we fit it in. But I do think next turn we're going to start getting Royal Malqui, and I don't know if we're going to realistically stop. But we'll see how that goes. I mean, obviously, we'll have to realistically stop eventually. But, I mean, I could see us going upwards of, like, 15 to 20 Royal Malqui in the capital with, you know, the potential income that we're going to get from the infrastructure that we're taking from Pelagia, right? So, yeah, anyways. Moving on, we also have Nazcan recruits for the turn. We are going back to recruiting Hatenruna here capturing Hatenruna in Pavonia, but we don't have any yet. That'll be next turn. So for the turn, Nazcan recruits, we have 274 Long Dead Warriors, getting really close to that 300 mark. Really excited about that. 16 recalled Supayas, 2 summoned Supayas for another 14 Supayas, and then 1 summoned Huaka for another 7 Huakas. So very cool. Huaka. 30 Supayas per turn is pretty nice, but like I said, I do think we want to get upwards of like 10 to 20 Royal Malquis in the capital and really start shitting out Supayas, right? Like another 3 Supayas from every Royal Malqui that we get. We get another just 10 Supayas, right? Is another 30, or another 10 Royal Malquis is another 30 Supayas per turn, putting us at about the 50 Supayas mark per turn. I really think that's where we want to be heading. Honestly, we should have been aiming for that already. I think we've invested poorly into too many Huron priests and too many Malqui priests. But we had some really bad issues with income. So it is what it is. Special recruits for the turn remaining the same. 1 Direwolf, 1 Dustwalker. All of our other special recruiters are currently busy at the moment. There's that. We have a very small amount of infrastructure this turn. It's been a while. We are building a temple over here in Illidar. So 1 temple going up in Illidar. We need a lot more of these. This is where we're going to have a conflict between producing Royal Malquis and producing temples, because kinda need to produce. As you can see, our Dominion is getting absolutely destroyed. We always have had issues pushing against Pelagia, because Pelagia has set up a lot of temples to keep their own Dominion from getting destroyed, right? But Vanheim has so much land now, so many temples, so much infrastructure. This is starting to become a problem. So we're really getting pushed in as far as our Dominion goes. And while we don't really love our Dominion, we don't want to get Dom killed. And the longer you wait to defend your Dominion, I think the easier it is to kill off someone. Now, I don't think that's necessarily what's going to happen to us, but we do want to start putting preachers in more locations, right? over here, all across our border, etc., etc., and start dropping more temples. I want to be hesitant about dropping temples in the wrong locations, because dropping temples in the wrong locations is just wasted money, because Pelagia is going to take some fortifications back from us, likely, right? But places that are on land, Illidar, Ermithia, Blackport, those types of things, we can probably aim to take sooner rather than later, or put in temples sooner rather than later, because those I think are unlikely for us to lose. Even if the war starts to go bad for us, right? Pelagia coming back on land and taking those locations away from us is that's going to be hard. Almost as hard as it is for us to go underwater and take things from Pelagia, it's going to be difficult for them to come back on land and take things from us. So those are probably potentially safe locations for us to do temples in. We're probably going to start doing that. Other things for the turn. We are doing some rituals. 2 rituals, actually, so very few rituals. We have 1 Revive King, and 1 Ghost Riders. So, while we don't have a lot of stuff going on, I don't really think we need to explain the Revive King, more Revive Kings, because we need more people moving undead throughout our empire. The Ghost Rider, we just did get Ghost Rider like a turn or 2 ago. We're throwing a Ghost Rider at Blue Waters, just on the off chance that they're going to be patrolling here in Blue Waters. And if they are patrolling with any sizable force, it's very unlikely, right, that they will, that the Ghost Riders will win, right? So we have 2 scenarios here. If they're patrolling with any, I guess 3 scenarios. No, it's basically the same scenarios. 2 scenarios. If they're patrolling with any sizable force, Ghost Riders are probably not going to do anything. They'll die, and then the group of of Long Dead that's coming in is just going to die as well, right? So that is one possibility, but it could bait some gems potentially, and it could cause Pelagia to go, oh, right, like sometimes knowing that you have to face a certain spell can make you go, oh, what do I do about this? And then have an extra layer of thought processes, right? So that's one scenario. The other scenario is they're not patrolling with much of anything. They just have PD, or maybe they have a mage or 2, right? And the Ghost Riders actually do kill what's there, which would mean that if that happens, right, like the Ghost Riders kill what's there and there's no PD when this unit shows up, meaning they get to sit on Blue Waters and potentially trap what's there in. I say trap what's there. If this moves, obviously it's not going to be trapped, but if it's just sitting there waiting for something, that's a turn that it's going to have to come out and destroy what's on it before it can actually move away. So if that happens, that could give us more free turns to take other infrastructure in other areas. So that's kind of the play that we're trying to do with Ghost Riders, is see if that's going to work, right? Not really expecting much out of it. Ultimate Gateway is saving us a little extra on death this turn, so 6 astral saved and 10 death saved this turn because of the additional Ghost Riders added to that. So that's pretty cool. And then forging for the turn, we have 1 Lightless Lantern, 6 Amulets of the Dead, 1 Ring of Water Breathing, 1 Water Lens, and 1 Water Bracelet. So, elephant in the room, that's a lot of Amulets of the Dead. Why so many Amulets of the Dead? Well, because we've taken a couple of losses on Huron Priests here or there. We've recruited a couple of additional Malqui Priests, and many of them are now summoning or reanimating Long Dead without the addition of an Amulet of the Dead, which, is just a little bit of efficiency per turn. Just getting additional Long Dead every single turn can really boost up our numbers. And 6 additional Amulets of the Dead is really, I think, going to get us closer to that 300 mark that I really, really want to get to. Because 300 long dead per turn is starting to get to the kind of like nutty amounts of chaff where it's like it can be difficult to deal with just in general. Obviously, killing the long dead is very easy, right? But if you're getting hit in 15 different locations by 100 long dead, you can kill all of them in all of those locations. Yes, but what's it going to cost you? A couple gems for a cloud trapeze, a couple gems for a teleport, a couple gems for some air elementals or some fire elementals or some earth elementals, and it starts to add up with that couple gems, couple gems, couple gems, couple gems, and time and etc. etc. Right? So, I'm not sure that this is like I've been trying to analyze what we're doing with our gems a little bit more lately. Um, I've had more time around this point in the game to try to like think about things and theorize, right? Like, what would we do if we had more fire gems? We talked about that with like fires in the jar and Aklas spamming like pillars of fire and stuff like that. I do think we want to start using our death gems for other situations. This is one of the reasons why I would like to have more Royal Malquis summoning or recalling Supayas, rather than spending, even if it's reduced, it's still 8 death gems per turn on the summoning Supayas that we're doing over in the Forgotten Woods at the Ultimate Gateway. That's efficient. That's good, right? But if we could get a fair amount of gems going elsewhere, or if we could get a fair amount of Supaya coming from other means, we could save those gems and we could start doing Wraith Lords, or we could start doing Liches, right? And I need to start thinking about investments for the future, because we don't have long until this game goes Nova, I think, right? Even if we win against Pelagia, which would be amazing, and that would put us in a much, much better position to try to threaten a game. Vanheim's huge. Vanheim is huge as is, right? Not only are they huge in the concept that, sure, they only have 3 capitals, Vanheim, Jotunheim, and Vanarus, right? They still have more land than you would think otherwise because they had amazing expansion. They picked off additional locations from the wars with Ulm. They're picking up more territory from Arco. They're really big. They're really big, and they're operated by a very good player. So it's a scenario where I don't think, even if we take all of Pelagia, we're gonna run into a situation where they've been ahead of us longer than us, or longer than we can catch up to, basically. So I'm trying to think of what are ways for us to get further into the game, and the things that I would think of, right? A lot of immortal, stealthy liches and things like that to be able to raid all over the place. That is an option. That's a pretty good option. Wraith Lords also being another pretty good option for that. And Wraith Lords being a good option for the Ultimate Gateway, right? But that means not spending all our goddamn death gems on shit like Amulets of the Dead all the time. Or on summoning Supayas all the time, right? Another thing is Astral Pearls, trying to go for something like Arcane Nexus, right? Another thing is Nature Gems, trying to go for something like Gift of Nature's Bounty. Unfortunately, we have really good Death, and we have pretty okay Astral that we could try to make something of. We have very good Earth. Earth, I don't think, is going to be a game winner at the end of the game, though, for us. And Fire, Air, and Water, we just don't have enough of, I think, to matter, and or they don't matter as much in the late game. Fire does, obviously, but I don't think we have enough Air and Water to matter in the late game as well. And Nature, we don't have enough for a play of, like, Gift of Nature's Bounty. So I'm really trying to figure out, what do we even do as we go into the late game? We could try to go for Blood, but we're so far behind that game that I don't know that it's even going to be worth it, right? It's not looking great. So, Death is one of those points where I do think we have some opportunities. Wraith Lords or Liches, I think, being the go-to scenario. Maybe trying to squeeze in some tarts because tarts are pretty cheap and we do get a discount at the Ultimate Gateway. But that all kind of depends on what time frame we have. Vanarus is dead now. Okay? Which means all of Vanheim's attention can turn on Arco. As that happens, that's going to be a huge problem. Vanheim already has 3 thrones, right? Arco has 4 thrones. So if Vanheim starts to focus on Arco and really threaten a lot of those locations, they're going to have access to all of the thrones that they need very, very quickly. And even if they get stymied, right, like in certain Arcocephalan locations, they're also very close to thrones held by Ulm, right? Ulm holds Resting Heights and Furia, and Van is easily capable of hitting those locations as well. So we've got ourselves in a weird situation where it's very much okay. We want to things are going well with Pelagia, but we need them to go well as quickly as possible. Very exciting, or it's been a lot of fun for me to kind of like kick back into the game and see how things go. But yeah, anyways, that's going to be the end of this turn. Hope you all enjoyed. We'll see you next time for more Nazca. Bye-bye, everybody. Hey, everybody. Thanks for watching. If you enjoyed the video, consider leaving a like, commenting, or subscribing. It really helps me out. If you'd like to see me live, head over to my Twitch at twitch.tv/thedistanthorizon.